Hi everyone and welcome back to Rough Rider, where every week I talk writing, self-publishing, and living in a barely literate society. So a lot of self-publishing authors will experience imposter syndrome at some point in their career. This is when you really start to doubt your accomplishments, you downplay the value of writing a novel as if it's not really that big of a deal, and you start to question if you're even a real writer. It's really not a fun headspace to be in. Luckily, there's some ways you can work through it, and you don't have to pay a therapist to do it. So here's some advice on how to beat imposter syndrome if you're self-publishing. So the first step is to know what you're dealing with. So there's actually more than one type of imposter syndrome. Like there are different subsets to it, sort of like archetypes or something like that. These are the perfectionist, the expert, the natural genius, the soloist, and the superhuman. So if you're a perfectionist, you get real anxious about the way something's done and you don't really focus so much on the outcome. Like you'll spend tons and tons of time nitpicking what you're doing and you don't even pay attention to the fact that it came out great in the end. You were just so focused on the fact that it was like a complicated and messy process that you start to doubt whether it was worth it at all. If you're the expert, then you're really scared of a lack of knowledge or a lack of skills, so you start to worry that you don't know enough, you can't do enough, like you're not capable enough. If you're a natural genius, and it sounds terrible, this is me, and I feel like it sounds bad if you're like, I'm a natural genius. But if you're one of those types, then it means that you're really focused on just how easy something comes to you. So if you're just used to things being like fairly easy for you, like for me, like music, art, and writing like come pretty naturally. I don't have to put a lot of effort into those to get better at it. But there's other things like sports, my God, could never do it. I just don't even want to try because it doesn't naturally come to me. Like I'm not even willing to put in the effort to learn it because I just give up immediately when it's not naturally easy for me. So if you're the same way, then you'll really start to doubt your competence if something isn't just immediately simple for you and requires very little effort. If you're a soloist, it means that you just want to do everything on your own. You hate asking for help. It gives you a lot of anxiety to even ask for help or think about getting it because then you doubt yourself and you think, oh God, I needed help. That means I'm not good at this. And then superhumans are the people who just juggle too many roles. They think they can take on everything all by themselves and do like a million projects all at once. And then once they start lagging behind in one of those, it's just not possible to take on that much as one person. Then they feel really bad about themselves and it really hurts their confidence. So, think about these subtypes. Take a moment and reflect on which one resembles you the most. This will help you know where you need to focus your efforts in terms of self-improvement. Let's say you decide, okay, I fit the label of the soloist. That means you need to work on asking other people for assistance and reaching out to others for help. So, try to collaborate with people, like ask them if they want to work with you on something and help you out with one of your projects. If you're a superhuman, then you should try to limit the number of projects you take on at once or learn to list out all the things you want to do and figure out an order you want to do them in instead of just doing them all at once. But yeah, knowing which one you are or which one you most resemble will help you a lot when you're trying to focus your efforts on improving yourself. And the next thing you can do to help deal with imposter syndrome is to vent to your friends about it. This is personally how I deal with all of my issues. I am like the venter. Granted, I'm Italian, and when Italians stop complaining, they die. So this is a matter of survival for me. But if you get these feelings off your chest, these things have been weighing down on you, you're like, oh God, like I'm a terrible writer. I'm not even a real writer. I'm just so bad at all of this. No one's gonna take me seriously. I'm a fraud. If you're feeling like that, bottling it up is not gonna help you. And this is true of anything. Like it's not even just this issue here. Like anything in your life emotionally that may be difficult for you, it's good to just vent it to other people. Whether this is a friend, a family member, if you're religious, like your priest, it doesn't matter. Someone that you trust, it's a good way to just deal with your feelings. You'll find that when you start saying these things out loud, you'll realize just how ridiculous a lot of it sounds. Like you'll say it and then you'll be like, oh, like once I hear that, I realize like, oh wow, like I am sort of delusional. Like it really isn't as bad as I think it is. If you're saying like, I'm not a real writer, and you're saying this out loud and you're like, even though I've written 5 books, I'm not a real writer, you'll be like, oh, okay, anyone listening to me would be like, what are you talking about? But even if what you're saying does make sense, it's not like a total delusion, then getting it out loud makes it easier to address it because you've now heard it verbalized and it's been laid out a little bit more clearly. In all likelihood, the person you're venting to is just going to tell you like, oh, you're being silly. You've accomplished a lot. You should value it more. You shouldn't be so hard on yourself. And they're right. It's true. They'll be able to give you all the reasons you should feel confident, even if you personally can't come up with that list yourself. I'll say though, only pick those friends who are going to be honest with you. We all have the friends or the family members who just feel obligated to say things to placate you. And if you go to those people to start venting about these kinds of things, you're going to have that doubt that they're telling you the truth. You go to your mom mom, you're saying like, oh, I feel ugly, and then she's gonna be like, you're the most handsome boy in the world. Like, yeah, of course she's gonna say that. She's your mom. So go to someone who typically gives you their real opinion, even if it's not something you like to hear, because then you're gonna be a lot more likely to really take their advice, because you're not gonna be thinking the whole time, oh, they're just saying that. And the next thing you should do to deal with imposter syndrome is focus on the facts. So, anyone can experience imposter syndrome. I just think that self-publishing authors may be a little bit more susceptible to it. There's just aspects of the whole self-publishing process that make it easy to doubt yourself. Because you didn't have like a corporate publisher to screen your work and, pick that over all these other novels that are just less worthy of their time and attention, you might start thinking like, oh, well, what value does my novel have? There was really no selection process involved. Like, there wasn't anyone discerning it from a good book or bad book. Like, that none of that ever happened. It just went right to the market. And let's say you did try to go the traditional publishing route and you just got rejected all the time for various reasons. Like, it doesn't have to be that your book was bad. It could have been anything. Maybe the people just didn't like the message your book had. But anyway, let's say you've been rejected a whole bunch of times and you decide, you know what, I just don't want to deal with this anymore. It's too hard emotionally to keep dealing with the rejection. Let me self-publish it and get it out there. That's what I really wanted to do anyway, is to have it available for people to read. You might end up feeling like you're just a failure who took the easy way out. Or this is probably the most common one, honestly. You put your book out and it's just not really selling the way you wish that it would. And you're not really making a lot of money. And I think that some people did go into it with unrealistic expectations that they might be able to just like immediately quit their job and live off of their writing full time. When that doesn't happen, then you start to think like, what did I do wrong? I'm not a real writer. Real writers get to write full time and that's what they live off of. That's their primary income. There's like a limitless number of reasons you might doubt yourself. But let's just focus on the facts here. You don't need a gatekeeper to get you into the literary world. I get why corporate publishers do that. They don't want to put out like crap books, obviously. Like, this affects their bottom line. Like, I totally get it. But, that doesn't mean that the person whose book they rejected necessarily is a bad writer or what they've written isn't worth anything. Point is, you don't need some sort of like purity test to get you into the book market. You can, the whole point is to provide something for the readers. It's not to placate some, I don't know, whoever is dealing with the screening for whatever books a publisher deals with. Just the fact that you wrote a book at all makes you a writer. You don't have to be making a lot of money off of it to be able to say you're a writer. A book is written, someone wrote it. It wouldn't exist if there wasn't a writer involved. And your book exists. It's up for sale on Amazon somewhere, even if no one's buying it. So someone had to have written it, and that person is clearly you. And maybe the reason you're hesitant to say to people, oh, I'm a writer, is because you think that people are going to react to that by just assuming that that is your primary income. Not everyone is going to think that. So don't be hesitant to say that to people. They'll just hear, oh, I'm a writer. Oh, that means you write. It doesn't really have any implications towards, where you're making your money or, where all your paychecks are coming from. If they asked you, what do you do for work? And you say, I'm a writer, but you're not making money off of it, maybe that's not so accurate. But if they're just saying, what do you do? Like, just say I'm a writer, because you are, you do it. Anyway, the point is, even if you have a day job, you're still a writer, no matter how often you tell yourself otherwise. And then the next thing you can do to deal with imposter syndrome is to remind yourself of all your accomplishments. The whole issue with imposter syndrome is that you really undervalue your accomplishments. So you're going to have a hard time accepting any sort of compliments or praise, you or your book or your worth as an author. So what you're going to have to do is just remind yourself of the things you've achieved. People talk about affirmations and stuff in the morning. I'm not one of those people, but I do think it's helpful to have like very, very tangible, very visible and like obvious reminders to yourself of the things you've done and your value as a person or as a writer or anything. If you're having a moment where you're really feeling kind of insecure, just open up your manuscript file, look at the file details. You'll see just how much time you spent on this. You'll see this wasn't just like some fluke that oh, I happened to be able to write a book. Like, no, you put a lot of time into this. Take a look at the word count. Look at how many words you wrote. Think about how many people have an insanely hard time even just writing a 500-word essay. Keep copies of your book around the house and put them in areas that are just very visible. You're going to see them every day. So do it like, by your bedside, at your desk if you're working. Have one on every bookshelf. Like, just have it that you're going to see this all the time. Like a book with your name on it. You wrote that thing. Set your phone wallpaper, your desktop wallpaper to your book cover or some related art that's going to be a constant reminder of what you've done. And if you ever won any awards, or even if you just got an official copyright from the US Copyright Office, it's like a printed certificate, put it in a nice frame and put it on a wall somewhere. Celebrate yourself yourself, like, don't hide your achievements from yourself. Like, make sure you're always reminded of it, and you'll start to build that confidence up. Because the more you see it, the more you'll start to value yourself and your work. So if you're a self-publishing author, you don't have to deal with imposter syndrome. There are ways to work through it. There's a lot of resources online about this, because it's not just authors who experience this. It's not even just professionals who experience this. Anyone can deal with this. The thing is, though, if you're self-publishing, this can be really debilitating. It can really hurt your chances of success at self-publishing, because if you doubt yourself like this, you doubt your worth as a writer, or you even doubt the value of your own work, it's gonna make you a lot less likely to network with other people and promote your book online, because you're just gonna be really insecure about it. You're gonna be worried about people's reaction. You're gonna think like, oh, well, they're gonna realize that I'm not published through a traditional publisher, therefore it's not even worth reading. So you're gonna have to deal with this before you're really gonna be able to do the sorts of networking and marketing that you need to do to be successful. But if you wanna read a little bit more about this, you can check out my blog. There's a link in the description. I also have links in there to some other websites with resources on dealing with imposter syndrome. And if you found this interesting or helpful, please like and subscribe, follow me on social media, and as always, thank you for watching. God bless.